What do you want to see coming up in just a few days, 4 or 5 days from now? One thing that we will talk about, and Connor, I see your call, and Javier, you're going to be up shortly thereafter as well, talking about Nick Bosa and your level of concern that Nick Bosa remains not in camp.
I'm not concerned still. I just know Nick Bosa loves football, and I just think this is going to get figured out. It's a cycle, right? I mean, Debo went through it. It's just part of the business and part of the dance. Debo's was a lot louder with being in the club and the bottle service, right, flashers and all that thing. So it's a bit different. I'm not worried about it because the Niners know how good Bosa is. It's just a logistics thing that I do believe they'll figure out.
The Debo one, it got resolved a lot quicker, though.
Sure.
I mean, all the noise was in the offseason, and, man, we spent many hours right here on 95.7 The Game exhausting the topic and what are they going to do, and I think he even scrubbed his Instagram.
Oh, yeah,
or he unfollowed the Niners or whatever you kids do these days, and he did it. It was passive-aggressive, but he got it done. You're not worried about Nick Bosa, and for Kyle Shanahan's part, he's not worried either.
You've gone to John or Parag or anybody to just kind of get an idea where things are with Bosa?
No, definitely not.
How do you manage to just stay out of that?
Easily. Just stay out of it. There's not much to ask. Nick.
Stressful at all for you?
No, not at all. Because I don't know if Bosa's ever done a training camp, and he's done pretty good. I mean, it's a little different when you're a D lineman. I mean, just how, you always, everybody wants people here, and you want to do that stuff, but it doesn't affect the team as much from a DN standpoint. I have as much confidence in Nick as any player I've ever been around in terms of how he prepares and everything, and I know they're going to get it right, both sides, and I'm excited for when I do see him.
So no concern from Kyle Shanahan either, and he said, Nick Bosa never really does camp, and even if Nick were in camp, he probably wouldn't even be out there on Sunday when the Niners take on the Raiders.
I just appreciate the honesty because, look, and NFL, these are the highest level of athletes in the universe, right? Or as far as we know, the world at the very least. And a lot of times, not to talk about high school or whatever, because the whole question of turning it on and off. And I just wish people would be more honest about there are people that can turn it on and off, right? Not many can, but the greats can. And Nick Bosa not being at camp, it doesn't matter. And I really do. When we talk about athletes or coaches doing the coaches speak or the athletes speak, well, we do wish blah, blah, blah. Just be honest. Look, man, his name is Nick Bosa. He's a beast, right? Whether he's at camp or not makes no difference. Specific to that position, it's not going to change the way we're able to set things up going into the season. And I just appreciate Kyle Shanahan, who I've been critical of, but I appreciate Kyle Shanahan just keeping it 1,000 and just saying, it just doesn't matter. This guy is a complete animal on the field, and he will be fine as long as the logistics and financial aspect gets handled.
September 10th is the opener at Pittsburgh, so as long as you have Bosa signed a week or two before that, to me, there's no real reason for concern. 888-957-9570. Connor's next up in San Leandro. What's going on, Connor? Connor, are you there? And gone. Connor was asking what if Nick Bosa doesn't sign. And I don't know if that what if scenario is even in play, Alan, in terms of what Nick Bosa is going to hold out and not sign. He still is under contract for this year. He's just looking to get that monster extension.
Right, and what it means on the field is that defense would still be a top defense, but you are missing, the depoy, so obviously you're not going to be as good, but it similar to the offense, that's a very good defense. They would struggle. They wouldn't struggle, but they wouldn't be as good as they would be with Nick Bosa, but I don't think they would go down the tube or anything like that.
Lucas is weighing in as Connor's proxy. We lost Connor, but we found Lucas. What a break.
First time, long time. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Connor here. I wanted to ask, what if the Niners just don't sign Nick Bosa and use that money to go sign a real quarterback in case Brock Purdy doesn't have the goods come next offseason?
Yeah, a real quarterback. Oh, so you're talking about at the end of this year, you would go out and sign a, quote, real quarterback.
That's right. Use this money that you would have given Nick Bosa and pay a quarterback.
Well, I wonder.
So you're letting Bosa walk?
That's right. I think he's overrated. I'm Connor.
Yeah, make sure you put Connor's name on that.
Right.
Connor, give us a call back if you want to keep your name out Lucas's mouth. But I think that's an interesting question in terms of the overarching idea of if the quarterback doesn't work out, what would you do? And where Kyle Shanahan might go to try to find that next quarterback.
Well, there are a couple places, and you know what's going to come up. You know what's going to come up?
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins.
I'm looking at it right now.
I'm looking at it too.
$35 million is what his average annual is this year, and then he would be a free agent.
Signing Kirk Cousins and letting Nick Bosa walk, I don't think Niner fans, when you talk about getting a real quarterback, and I know, you talk about a lot of quarterbacks have been turning down the season 2 of The Quarterback on Netflix, but Kirk Cousins did a lot, I feel, for his, not that he had a bad look or a bad, persona in the media. It was just like, he's Kirk Cousins. He's fine. He's average, whatever. You see a guy with his kids and his family, you're always going to think of him a bit differently. So I do think Kirk Cousins' PR team got a win there, but I still think if you let Nick Bosa walk and sign Kirk Cousins when Lucas says, or Connor says a big deal quarterback, right, I don't think you're thinking Kirk Cousins.
Connor is actually back, and I would imagine he wants to defend himself after Lucas's unbridled attack on his reputation. Connor, what's going on? Are you there this time?
That was great. No, the hypothetical to my mind is if Bosa just doesn't sign, do you realize what your cap scenario is? And at the trade deadline, once you've given Brock the chance to be the guy, it turns out he's not that guy. Once you've given Trey the chance to take the top off of these defenses, and for whatever reason, his short game just isn't getting it done. You burn through Darnold, you burn through Brandon Allen, you get to the trade deadline, and it's the same hypo. It's, do we trade for someone to bring in maybe not, a Mahomes-like character, but somebody that can get the job done, and who is that? That's really my thought process. Just what does it look like if all those real possibilities happen and we find ourselves at the trade deadline with the need for the kind of quarterback that everyone is describing hypothetically Brock Purdy is now. Thanks for letting me get back on, guys.
No, Connor, thank you, and I appreciate you defending your reputation against Lucas's. It was a miscalculation sensation by Lucas in terms of your take, but thank you. I think if that plays out, if Brock is hurt and or Trey's not the guy and or Sam is hanging out with Scooby-Doo and Shaggy in the Mystery Machine and roasts, if he's still seeing ghosts, then thank you. It's a 2 for my my Scooby. But then you get to the trade deadline, and if all that happened, you're probably, 3-8 at that point? I can't imagine all that playing out, and you're still in a spot where let's go get a quarterback and salvage this year.
No, at that point, just keep losing and just go after Caleb Williams, right?
Right, although I think that there's going to be some serious tanking that goes on this year.
Oh, yeah.
Including maybe the team that formerly occupied the Coliseum, the Raiders. I think they might be a team in tank mode. Trade deadline is Halloween, October 31st, 4 p.m. Eastern. So that puts you in a situation where, that's about 7 games in. And if all that has gone wrong that quickly, well, it's a wrap.
It is a wrap.
Like Saran.
Right. And
Thank you, Guru.
We'll go through the exercise, but the chances of this happening are very slim because, like you said, if it does happen, they would be done for the season at that point. You still have guys, you're not going to put these guys out here in as brutal of a game this is and not try to win, but the idea that you're going to get back and we don't know what the Seahawks are going to do. But just for the exercise, the first question is who would even be available? So you would basically need a really good quarterback on a bad team. So let's start there.
Right, and you already have, or you'd get, somebody's backup, but you already have that person in Sam Darnold on your roster.
Right,
So
Sam Darnold is probably the most talented backup in the league.
He's probably the most experienced backup in the league, I would say.